why is the US policy so hostile towards Iran? Uh, to what extent, if any, is it because of Israel?
Yes, I think Israel is definitely a big part of it. When before the revolution took place, the revolutionaries in Iran were very critical of the Shah and the regime because it was a despotic regime. It was completely reliant on the United States, and key decisions were made in Washington and back then in London when the British government was more influential. So the issue of sovereignty was important. The issue of indigenous values were important. Indigenous values that were being ignored since the Shah was a he and his people were basically worshipped Western culture and Western ideology, and he looked down at indigenous culture and values in the country. That was another issue. But also, um, the Shah of Iran, while he had a notorious secret police called the Savak, which the Americans created, the CIA helped build the Savak. The Shah of Iran also supported U.S. policy uh, in South Africa and with regards to the Israeli regime. The revolutionaries were fully opposed to both apartheid in Palestine and in South Africa. These were two key foreign policy issues of the revolutionaries and, of course, Ayatollah Khomeini. So when the revolution happened, obviously the Israeli embassy, or what was the equivalent to the Israeli embassy, was immediately shut down. And it was handed over to the Palestinians, the building, and that square, which the building is very close to, it was renamed Palestine Square, and it is today still Palestine Square. Uh, Iran also immediately broke off ties with apartheid South Africa, and it began to support the resistance both in Palestine and in South Africa, in particular the ANC and the military wing of the ANC. So that obviously made the Israeli regime very angry, the Israeli lobby very hostile, but also the issue was how Iran split from the United States. Iran literally belonged to the United States. And after the revolution, the United States immediately tried to take it back. And it used the embassy for espionage, to support terrorist organizations, and to destabilize the revolution. And that, of course, led to the embassy takeover. And the embassy takeover was a humiliation for the US political establishment. And to be very blunt, the United States has never forgiven Iran for the revolution itself, for the humiliation of the embassy takeover, even though the embassy takeover was in response to U.S. policy. It was a response to the fact that the United States had just given refuge to the Shah, who had killed many thousands of Iranians on the streets during the month of revolution, and many, many thousands during the years of rule and brutal rule that he had in the country beforehand. So the US gave refuge to the Shah. The Iranians were fearful that the United States would repeat the 1953 coup, where the national government was overthrown and the Shah was installed by the United States and the UK. So the reasons for the embassy takeover were based upon history and based upon the activities of the United States after the revolution. But still, it was the United States. The elites in the United States have been hostile ever since. So I think it's both a combination of the Israeli regime and its lobby and its influence in the United States, but also the anger that the elites, even though many of them are no longer alive, but that anger still remains among many American senators who were back then were either children or not even born, and other elites in the United States.